Pastor Tim Stevens is being released. We're not entirely sure of the conditions outside of the secret court order that Alberta Health Services received against the Whistle Stop Cafe and certain individuals, including Jane and John Doe's, to give police special powers to arrest owners and other citizens if they dared to continue exercising their charter rights and freedoms in the face of public health orders. So that's the development. Sheila Gunn Reid, and I'm bringing you a quick update to the story of Pastor Tim Stevens. Now, Tim Stevens was arrested Sunday in Calgary for holding church services that are non-compliant with the current public health order of just 15 people. Tim Stevens was arrested under a broad restraining order that applied to all Albertans, preventing illegal public gatherings, but that restraining order was amended to only apply to the people specifically named in the order and not Jane and John Doe Albertans. That amendment came down the Thursday before Pastor Stevens was arrested. So the legality of the arrest of Pastor Stevens is already in question. Fairview Baptist Church in Calgary has been under near constant surveillance for months. They've had their church services interrupted by Alberta Health Services and Calgary City Police and bylaw officers, which in itself is in contravention of the Canadian Criminal Code Section 176. Now, yesterday, on Monday, we reported that Pastor Tim Stevens had been granted bail. But things changed rapidly in the evening when Alberta Health Services refused to back down on the release conditions that would then require Pastor Stevens, upon threat of incarceration again, to abide by the public health order restrictions on places of worship. Pastor Tim Stevens refused to sign his bail conditions. Tim Stevens will not limit his congregation, and he won't lie so that he can get out of jail. So Pastor Tim Stevens spent yet another night in jail, a prisoner of conscience. Now, he's being represented by the amazing lawyers at the Justice Centre for Constitutional Freedoms. And here is the president of the Justice Centre, John Carpe, in a phone conversation with Calgary-based Rebel reporter Adam Sos about the situation with Pastor Tim Stevens as it unfolded on Monday night. Take a listen.
Hey, Adam Sos here with Rebel News. John, thanks for joining me. Again, I am, of course, with John Carpe from the Justice Centre for Constitutional Freedoms, president of the Justice Centre for Constitutional Freedoms. We've had an interesting development today. Pastor Tim Stevens had his bail hearing today, and it seemed at first that he was set to be released, but there's been a bit of a wrinkle. Could you maybe give us an update on the situation?
Well, Alberta Health Services is maintaining the illegal position that Tim Stevens was arrested according to the May 6th court injunction, which applies to everybody in Alberta, whether they are involved with Whistle Stop or not. And Alberta Health Services is blatantly ignoring the fact that that order was changed on the application of the Justice Centre in court on the 13th of May, and that amended order does not apply to Tim Stevens. The order now only applies to Whistle Stop, and so Alberta Health Services is keeping the pastor in jail without any valid legal reason. And they know that the arrest of Tim Stevens was also illegal because it was not authorized by the May 6th order that Alberta Health Services is continuing to try to rely on.
Okay, so would it be fair to say that sort of in principle and in opposition, Tim Stevens is refusing to sign this unprincipled bail terms?
We're not even at the point yet of signing an order. It's right now there's a bit of a standoff insofar as Alberta Health Services is refusing to recognize that the arrest was illegal, and that's what we're trying to deal with right now.
Okay, and assuming that they keep holding up this resistance and refuse to acknowledge the illegal nature of that arrest, what does that look like for Pastor Tim Stevens, a man who's now been away from his family for a matter of time? How long could he potentially be arrested while they continue playing these games?
Well, potentially he could be in jail for a month or more, like Pastor Coates, but we anticipate that it's not going to be that long. the Alberta Health Services position is just untenable.
Okay. Well, I thank you so very much for this update. I'm sure you're busy. I thank you for taking my call and sharing. I'm sure people are sort of on edge wondering when this pastor will be released, his family first and foremost. So thank you for this update. We'll be certain to continue following this story. And again, thanks for joining me, John.
All right, Adam. Thank you.
So today is Tuesday, and Justice Centre lawyers are back in court arguing again for the release of Pastor Tim Stephens in a way that doesn't force Tim Stephens to trade his conscience for his liberty. And we will continue to bring you updates as they happen. Pastor Stephens belongs at home with his 8 beautiful children and his beautiful wife. And those images of Tim's crying children clinging to him as the police wait to take him away are some of the most haunting images that I've seen during this pandemic. One pastor arrested in Alberta because he worships God over the government is one too many. In Alberta, we've had 3 now. After we filmed this video earlier today, things changed rapidly. Pastor Tim Stephens is now officially set to be released from the Remand Centre in Calgary. I just received word from the Justice Centre for Constitutional Freedoms that Tim Stephens has agreed to certain conditions that would permit his release from jail. Let's read from their press release that they just sent to me in advance. The Justice Centre for Constitutional Freedoms was in court again today on behalf of Calgary Pastor Tim Stephens in jail since Sunday, May 16th. Alberta Health Services has sought to keep Pastor Stephens in jail until he agrees to consent to the violation of his charter rights and freedoms by Alberta's public health orders. In a hearing before Justice Germain of the Alberta Court of Queen's Bench earlier today, lawyers for AHS and for Pastor Stephens agreed to the release of Pastor Stephens on the condition that he abide by the terms of the May 6th injunction of Justice Rook as amended. Now, the terms may be varied on 1 day's notice. Further developments are expected to be announced. So that's the news. Pastor Tim Stephens is being released. We're not entirely sure of the conditions outside of the secret court order that Alberta Health Services received against the Whistle Stop Cafe and certain individuals, including Jane and John Doe's, to give police special powers to arrest owners and other citizens if they dared to continue exercising their charter rights and freedoms in the face of public health orders. So that's the development. The next hearing for Pastor Tim Stephens is June 16th, and we promise here at Rebel News, we'll continue to bring you the other side of the story of the continued Christian persecution happening in Alberta due to the increasingly onerous public health restrictions on places of worship. Pastor Tim Stephens is being represented by the great lawyers at the Justice Centre for Constitutional Freedoms. At Rebel News, we have the back of another pastor that was arrested under this same restraining order, Pastor Art Pawlowski, to help us offset his legal fees as he fights for religious freedom. Please donate today at saveartur.com. That's saveartur.com. That's the Polish spelling, saveartur.com.